What's going on, y'all? It's Greg. Greg said it. Back with our second one of the day. Inspiration, motivation on our wonderful Sundays for y'all who subscribe and follow, who's been with us. Definitely appreciate y'all. And if you're new for the first time, make sure you like, share, subscribe. This is one of the things you get. My second video of the day. I do a live, typically on Sunday mornings, sometimes Saturday. And make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification, and you should get a notification, but typically like around noon. And this morning I had a little obligation, had a little family thing to go to. So we did it a couple hours early, and shout out to those faithful followers who was there. It was like we didn't miss a beat. So definitely shout out to all y'all. And we kind of talked about, do people really believe in Colorado? Do they still believe? That was the theme last year. Do you believe? And I think it should be this year. Do you still believe? Because it's some tests, man. I mean, you had a team that really struggled last year for a lot of different reasons. It wasn't always their fault. They had things going against them. And it should be expected when you're doing something significant. You have opposition in all fashions, spiritual, natural, whatever. And I feel like, and I've said 100 times, they were a better team than their record showed. Yeah, they wasn't as good, but they had the talent to be better than 4-8. You can't tell me other 4-8 teams was better than them. Even though they lost some games, that they clearly was better than Stanford, even though they lost to them. I don't know what happened, but they clearly was much better team than Stanford. And you would say, how would you know that? Look at that, how they lost. They lost, but they just fell apart. But they were a better team than Stanford, by far. Just on paper, just everything. They record, everything. So that was a giveaway game. They got Utah stole from them. And they definitely could have beat Arizona. And they probably could even beat a UCLA. It was several games that they could have beat. They was in the game with Oregon State. It was only a couple blowouts. So, I've given my theories 7 times over, and I keep giving it to if I need to. Because it's important. Because some people need to hear stuff several times for it to click. Because it seems like people not grasping something. You got to compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges to really say that you have the proper perspective of a thing. And sometimes people make illogical assumptions based off of improper perspectives. It's a perspective, but it's kind of out of order. And that team, it had some challenges that could verify them losing. They had some depth issues on the offensive line. They had some size issues in the middle of that defensive line. Didn't really have good linebacker play. But they had some exceptional offensive weapons, even without an offensive line. And they still put up major numbers. So that should tell you something about the potential with a better line and more time to develop in the system. So it's a lot of things that I looked at from a perspective, and we talked about all of that on what I felt, but also the perspective of belief. And really being real, like, we see a lot of people kind of fell off that train pretty early when Colorado kind of took off. After 3 games, everybody was on. You had game day, big noon, you had all of that over and over again. It was crazy, and people jumped on out of nowhere. It's like, wow, that's surprising. But then they hurry up and jumped off after a couple losses, and that slippery slope is like they lost a lot. The interest changed. You even look at like the video views, like from a video content creator on YouTube. You really see like, oh, the trends is different. It was high when it was high, and it just went on down as they lost the interest. And it's down now, honestly. Like, a lot of people are in that kind of watch and see mode. And you really look at what really makes a person choose to believe a thing. Like, you believe in Colorado because everybody else believed in them. Maybe a lot of people did. Maybe most of them did. Did you believe in them because of the well-off videos? Or, what people say, you're a super fan because you had an unrealistic expectation of some guys who really wasn't validated. You said these guys came from group of 5. These guys came from the bench, and y'all thought y'all was going to win. You just delusional. And we had that argument all last year. And guys really was getting off on that because that's basically came back against them. That depth and that experience and that quality was where the holes were on the offensive line and the defense. It definitely wasn't there at quarterback, and the receivers were pretty decent. But just where it counted, it showed. Experience showed. skills show, all of that. But you got to really think about, why do you believe in a thing? It really makes you look at that, because I can know why I believe that Colorado's going to win. And I did my own analysis, and I followed the players, and I come up with it. And I still don't believe that that was the true natural outcome. I believe it was artificial in a lot of ways. You know, some games they shouldn't have lost and some weird stuff. But it wasn't truly built off of fantasy as much. It wasn't really built off other people's opinions as much. It was built on my belief. And I had to build my belief to come up. Yeah, you can be influenced by other people in your belief, but at the end of the day, it's wise of you to build your own belief based off of your own research. I got my own channel. I got my own audience, my own following. Yeah, I look at other people's stuff, but anybody follow Greg? Greg said, you know, he does his own. You can love it or leave it. I'm me. I do things the way I do it. I'm not trying to recreate what other people do. I sit in my car. Who else doing it? I'm not trying to, you know, I have, you know, StreamYard. I don't use all the features as yet. I don't do the replay. I don't do the you know, the video analysis. I haven't even done interviews. I'm uniquely me, and I approached it from my perspective, my own experience, my own background. And what you know, ain't that like life? Whatever you believe in, it's typically built on your experience, your background, you know, your expertise. And then some people just totally built on what somebody told them. They did no research of their own. It could be right, wrong, or indifferent. But you can't validate your own belief system. You can't explain why you believe it. Your mama told you. Your culture told you. Your community told you. Somebody in your family, your friends, your school. You built the whole belief system around something you don't even know. And you just as fleeting as the wind blowing outside on the trees over there. You just go with the wind. Anything can move you. You really believe hard with it one day and really then the next day. Like, that's pretty extreme in a short period of time. But then you have to ask, did you really believe? Or you just called it belief? Was it just a good idea, a good time, a good opportunity for you to believe it? But one thing about life, trials and tests will come, and it's going to show what you really believe. Because if you don't really believe something, it's going to be the first to go. You're going to be the first to jump ship. If you don't really believe something, you're not going to stand the trials of life, and they're going to come. We've seen it with Colorado. Them trials came, and man, they went downhill, and they went to bickering and falling apart on the inside, and so did the fans. The fans left too. And it's like, wow. He asked, did you believe? Yeah, I believe. I got I believe t-shirt. And as soon as the wind blew left, you left. That's not belief. Now, I'm not the kind of person say you should just be stubborn, but your belief should have some stubbornness. But if you're going to be stubborn in something, at least try to know it. Don't just be stubborn just for pride's sake, because that's a problem. Don't just believe something and you just going to stick with it because you believe in it and be dead wrong. Yeah, you'd rather be wrong and believe something than right and don't believe something in some cases. But don't just be dead wrong just for being dead wrong. Be able to back up what you believe. And if you can't back it up, you probably don't need to believe it. Why I say that as a Colorado fan? I don't feel like what I'm saying, I believe, can't be backed up. I've done video after video after video explaining and over-explaining and re-explaining why I felt Colorado was a better team last year and why they're going to be a better team this year. That's what it's based on. That's what belief should be based on. It should be based off of, you know, it may not be the truth, but it's my truth. You know, and that's not the truth either. So that if you say my truth, your truth, it's only one the truth. I'm not saying it's the truth because that's me saying I ain't got to be right. I'm not guaranteed to be right. I can say they should be 10-2 and it could be 2-10 somehow. And I doubt it, but I'm saying I don't control that. So it's not the truth. But I will say, I believe I built my case, and that confirms my belief. Colorado's going to be a strong team because of ABCD, because they got a strong quarterback who did it with a raggedy line. You can't tell me his line is not better. It may not be what you think it should be, but he can't say it's not better. And that better means he should do better numbers. He's more mature, more experienced. He going to do better. And he was already putting up 30, 40 points when he was healthy. So if he do that, that increases the likelihood of him being hard to beat. Plus, he got more weapons, more solid weapons, more extensive weapons, and more developed weapons that was already there. So I can say that. Then I can say defense. Man, they got some weapons they didn't have. They got some more quality secondary. They got some more quality edge rushers. Say we can rush the quarterback. I'm using proof to back up my analysis. I'm using examples. And like I said, they got some more depth in the middle of the defense line. It may not be what you want, but it's more pieces in addition to what they had last year that can play that inside line. And we got a good linebacker that we didn't have last year. We only had what we had last year. So I can say, hey, they're going to be better. If that defense be a little better and that offense be, you can hate and say they're just going to be just the same numbers-wise, and that defense a little better, that's a much better record. Because all that defense had to do is keep the score less than what should do a score. It shouldn't be no shootout, overtime, shootout, overtime to almost overtime. It should be some, hey, you keep them within a couple touchdowns of us, it's going to be hard for you to beat us because you're not going to be able to score 40 like us. You may score 20. And if I get everybody to score 20, we got a pretty hard to beat season. We got a darn undefeated season. Because all I got to do is outscore you, and I know my quarterback can score. So all the defense got to do is figure that out. Make it as confusing as possible with this no position defense. And by the time they look up, the season about halfway, almost over, before they figure out what's going on. And you can't figure out because it's disguised. That's my theory. That's how I see it so clear. I don't say anybody else don't get it. That bad's my belief. That's what I'm saying. How do you confirm your belief? How do you confirm your belief in what you say about Colorado? And it's just that same approach. How do you confirm what you believe in your life? Every aspect. How do you confirm what you believe politically? Do you just go by what everybody say, or do you do your research? And do you do research from unbiased? Do you do your research from a place that is going to actually give you the truth, not what they want you to believe? Are you willing to face the truth, even if it conflicts what you previously believed? Are you willing to go to that level with your belief about your health? Are you willing to go that belief about your wealth? Are you willing to go that level of belief about your faith and your everything? Are you willing to take those steps and face the facts? You could be wrong when you look at them facts. You don't make facts fit what you believe. You let the facts confirm your belief. If they don't confirm it, then you got a problem. You got to be man and woman enough to say, hey, I was wrong. Or, hey, I need to look at something different. And that's why most people don't want to do that. That's why most people, they don't want to be confirmed wrong. They want to believe what they believe. They don't really want to know the truth. That's pride. I don't want to be that way about nothing. I don't want to even be that way about no Colorado. If it ain't right, it ain't right. I'm going to call it out. Greg said it. I'm not going to come up with the disguise, because who am I helping? They're going to get whooped. They're going to get whooped. So I'm not going to lie to myself and then want to feel sorry for myself unless I get off on being a victim and feeling sorry, and I'm addicted to losing. I'm not a loser. I don't have no losing spirit. And so that's, in a nutshell, my perspective on belief. That's a big word. We throw it around a lot. But it actually has meaning. It actually has value. It can be a powerful thing when understood and used correctly. I'm just Greg. Greg said it. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to y'all soon.